Hello friends, and welcome back to my channel, and a big hello to anyone tuning in for the first time. My name is Michelle and I'm a foodie on a tight budget. I do lots of extreme budget videos where I try to eat for the entire week on 10 to 15 bucks. But this weekend I'm taking it easy. It's overcast here in Southern California and it's a great time to do a desserts video. With the holiday just around the corner, these recipes are good to have. At the end of the video, I have a mini $9 kitchen makeover. Yes, that's right, I said $9. What could I possibly do with $9, you ask? Well, you'll have to watch to the end of the video. But I have to say I really love what I did. And yes, I did it at Dollar Tree, so you'll have to stay tuned. This first recipe I'm going to make for you is one of my all-time favorite dessert recipes, and it was my grandma's recipe passed down in generations, and it's pineapple upside down cake. It's so simple to make, and it's super inexpensive. It's only just a few dollars in ingredients. We've got brown sugar, butter, eggs, basic yellow cake mix, and a can of pineapple, and that's pretty much it. So, to get started with, we're going to melt some butter in a cast iron skillet. And you can actually make the pineapple upside down cake in the cast iron skillet. That's the way my grandma did it. But I actually like to make it in a square pan just because it feels like I'm getting more pieces. And if you do it in a round, pan like this, it's going to be a lot thicker. So it's your choice, but I prefer to just melt my butter this way and then pour it in a larger pan. But this is the first step. And then I'm just going to spray this. I probably don't need to, but I'm just going to spray it with a little bit of olive oil spray because that's what I've got in my cabinet right now. And then I'm going to put the butter and brown sugar down. And the butter and brown sugar is what, honestly, it makes this recipe just amazing because it kind of makes like a candied layer on the cake. So we're just going to put this on the bottom and spread it out quite a bit. Now, if I was entertaining, which this is a great recipe for the holidays because, or for any potlucks for that matter, because it does have a great presentation and it's well loved by a lot of people. This is just a really popular recipe. If you don't like pineapple, obviously you're not going to like the recipe. But you could pick off the pineapple as well. And I'm just going to sprinkle some brown sugar over the top to make sure I have even coverage. Like I said, if I was going to be entertaining with this at the holidays, I would probably put even more brown sugar just to make sure I have a nice solid coat across the pan. And then you're just going to use any yellow cake mix. I usually use whatever's on sale. They're all about the same. And then I'm going to pour the juice from a can of pineapple in. And I actually poured the juice in and I forgot to film that. So then I'm going to set the oven to 350. And I'm going to put the recipe in the description. So scroll down to the bottom of the description and that's where the recipes will be. But I'm just going to add 2 large eggs. I'm going to whisk them together. And then add that to the mix. And we're not going to be adding any additional liquid. That's pretty much it. Just your pineapple juice and the eggs. And then I just stir up the mix to get it a little bit mixed together before I use a hand mixer. So then you're just going to whip it for a while with the hand mixer. And unfortunately, I do need a new mixer because I've had this one for so long. And somehow the beaters ended up getting bent a little bit. So it makes this horrendous clanging noise when I run it. So I don't know if any of you guys can relate to that, but... So you're just going to get it until it's nice and fluffy. And that's about the consistency that we want. And then we're just going to come in and lay down the pineapple slices, and we want them kind of evenly spaced throughout because this is going to be the presentation of the cake, because you serve it upside down, thus the pineapple upside down cake. So we're just going to lay these out evenly. And then I purchased the maraschino cherries this time. I never use them. I make this a lot. I never put these down, but I'm doing this to show you because the presentation does look good. And if I was serving this at a holiday dinner, I would definitely add the maraschino cherries. And then you just pour over the batter over the top. And then try to evenly spread that out as good as possible. And this smells so delicious when it is cooking in the kitchen. I love to make this on a overcast or rainy day. I wish it was raining. It actually did thunder a little bit last week. It was super exciting because we never get rain here in Southern California. I mean, it's pretty rare, and when it does rain, it's just such a treat. Anyway, it cooks very fast, 25 minutes, and then I just insert a toothpick to make sure that it's completely done, and this is done. So then we're just going to run a butter knife around the edges to make sure that it doesn't stick when we flip it over. And I usually just foil something. The only thing I have big enough is my cutting board, so I just put a piece of foil over the top of that, and then I'm going to turn it out on there. Now, I don't make this too often, even though it's my favorite, because I will eat the entire cake by myself. I mean, over a matter of a few days, but it's just that good. I mean, it's like a coffee cake. So, you know, you might want to have it in the morning with a cup of coffee, would be a black coffee, and warm this up would be good. It's also delicious with a glass of milk. If you're going to be serving this to a big group or at a holiday event, make sure you grab 2 cans of pineapple. It's just going to be me eating this and maybe my youngest son. My oldest son doesn't like pineapple. But so I know there's no reason for me to, you know, do that. And I actually enjoy it eating the pieces without the pineapple. As long as it's got the brown sugar and butter on there, it's nice and candied, and I'm perfectly fine with that. But like I said, if you're entertaining, you definitely want it to look as good as possible. Another thing that I would do if I was presenting this, I would put the cherries on at the very end after it's cooked. That way the cherries will be nice and vibrant in color. But normally I don't use those at all because I don't actually really care for them that much, but I think they do look beautiful. So that meal, if you've got your butter and your brown sugar, that's basically going to cost you a couple dollars to buy the cake mix and the pineapple. Otherwise, if you want to add the cherries in there, it's going to be about $4.62. Okay, my next recipe is a strawberry jello dessert recipe that I acquired from an extended family member, and I had gone over to a dinner party and this was served. It was fabulous. I asked for the recipe, but then I was a little bit horrified when I realized the ingredient list and how much I loved it and how trashy the food was. But nonetheless, I asked for the recipe and I just decided to modify it a little bit. So this recipe calls for, 1 block of cream cheese and then the Cool Whip, of course, which isn't that great for you, but it is delicious. But the scary part was it called for 1 entire cup of sugar. And I was like, no, I cannot bring myself to add 1 entire cup of sugar. So I modified it to half a cup. And the original recipe also called for 2 cubes of butter. And I used 1 cube of butter. I had the second cube out on this this go around, just in case I needed it, because I'm also going to make some single serving for you so you can see what that looks like. But I'm just using the 1 cup here, and it was plenty. And I spread out the Graham cracker, just trying to get a little bit of a thin layer for each piece before we lay down the remaining ingredients. And that looks actually just about right. Okay, so you may have remembered these. If you've been with me for a while in my channel, you know I use these in some of my Christmas videos. I love to serve single serving dishes at parties or holiday dinners. I just think it really elevates the dish, and I just love the presentation. So I am going to mix up a few more graham cracker crusts with some additional butter to fill these up, just to show you. Now these containers were in a larger set that I got. I think I got those at, I want to say, Joann Fabrics. I think they were like 12 or 16. But they also have these little plastic single serve dishes at the Dollar Tree, which would work perfectly. And in fact, they have a really lovely shape to them, so you could check those out as well. But I'm just gonna fill these, and the trick to making a really beautiful serving and when they see through is to have like kind of thick layers. So I'm kind of rushing through this because I do have, as you probably know if you watch my channel, I do have a full-time job, so I really only have about 1 day a week to play around with my YouTube stuff. And I do try to film during the week if I'm doing like an extreme budget video or something like that. I'll film as I go. But for this weekend, I'm just doing these 2 recipes in 1 day. So for this, the Cool Whip and the cream cheese, you just want to mix that together. It would have been really helpful had I had a pastry cutter. That would have been great. So I added a 1/2 cup. But once you mix it all together, you can taste it and see if it's sweet enough for you. I'm a person that doesn't like overly sweet desserts, so for me the 1/2 cup was perfect. You're also going to be topping it, well, the Cool Whip has some sweetener in it anyway, and you're going to be topping it with the Jello, which again is a little bit sweet. It's just too much, too rich. So we've got that finally all mixed together, and then I'm just going to drop it into the single serving. And then we'll just layer that out as evenly as possible. And then I'm going to cook my strawberry Jello with 1 cup of boiling water. And then after it's dissolved, I'm going to add another cup of cold water to it. And it's basically the same as if you're following the directions of the Jello box mix. Now, again, if I was entertaining, I would have definitely used 2 boxes so that I would have had a nice thick pour. I should have flattened that peak out that you see on the right, but I didn't, and so I have to pour a little bit more in there. But yeah, so I had used some of the liquid obviously in the single servings, but for presentation purposes, I think maybe 1.5 boxes would have been ideal. But I love the presentation of these, and I like to serve mine with fresh strawberries. There's a lot of variations that you can do with this mix. You can also add the strawberries into the Jello, and then they kind of set up, and it looks really beautiful. But for taste wise, I like to have fresh strawberries. And I just showed you, I just put them on a little bit of the container because I didn't want to waste all my strawberries, and I was just going to put them back in the bag. This is a delicious dessert, and you can make it a day ahead and just set it out when you serve it. Okay, so this is where all the magic happens. And this might be the tiniest kitchen you've ever seen. It's certainly the tiniest kitchen I've ever seen. And I do all of my cooking in here at the present time. So I was at the Dollar Tree the other day. I was purchasing for my Thanksgiving videos coming up, and I was so inspired by a few things that I saw, and I'm in an all-around mood to do some organizing, some sprucing up my place. Some people do spring cleaning. I like to do fall cleaning and fall fix up just because I think it's about getting ready for spending the winter indoors. I saw these canisters there at the Dollar Tree and I love them. I'm going to be using that Always Be Thankful for a centerpiece for a Thanksgiving design for my table that I'm going to be doing. But I think I'm going to use this other one and try to make a new container for my utensils, kitchen utensils, because as you can see in the picture, I'm really outgrowing the one that I have. So I thought I would just play around. I'm a little bit crafty. I just like to do that for fun, and any excuse to get out my glue gun is something I'm going to do for sure. And I'm going to get in my ribbon box and see what I come up with. They had these beautiful poles at the Dollar Tree with these bright yellow flowers, and they had lots of accessories that would go with this, and they just made me so happy. I might just theme my Thanksgiving dinner around these. I'm not sure yet, but I just love them. this area behind the stove that's really been bothering me. I'm always trying to clean it, and it's just not a good place to have a painted surface. So I thought if I just put these up, I found these at the Dollar Tree, and originally I was thinking about putting them on the entire back wall, but then I thought to myself, no, I'm actually going to be moving probably in the summer, so I don't want to have anything that's too difficult to pull off. So I think I'll just put it behind there for now. And it was super easy to apply to the wall. It was basically just peel and stick, and I did use 3 of the containers of these. And I also spotted these little trinkets at Dollar Tree when I was there, and they were in the same yellow flower pattern, and I thought they were so cute, and I thought they would look really good on the back of my stove. So the side of my fridge always has quite a bit of fast food coupons that my boys will put up there, and it just always looks really unsightly. So I was thinking, what could I do with that? And when I was at the Dollar Tree, they had these stickers. And I'm not usually a sticker person, but I did pick up these, and I was thinking about maybe cutting out the big flower on the right hand side, just cutting out the top and putting that somewhere. But then I realized that it also had stickers on the back, and so then I thought I would just maybe put that on the fridge just to decorate it a little bit. Super whimsical, but I love it. It's kind of bright and cheery. It was only a few bucks, and it makes me happy. I might get tired of it after a while, but because I only spent a few bucks, then who cares? I mean, it's a tiny kitchen, but it's served me well, and I've been able to save a lot of money while I've been here. That's it, guys. If you like my video, please do give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And next week, we'll get back to the business of saving money. And I'll see you next week.